And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for the third and final game. Game 3, the third and final game. Oh, I say stupid things sometimes. Regardless, this is the final game of the best of 3 series between Mouse Mana and Liquid TLO in the... what was it again? It wasn't... yeah, it was the Asus Republic of Gamers GD Invitational. I was getting tournaments mixed up in my brain because I watched too much Starcraft. Regardless, the map will be Daybreak. In the lower left-hand corner of the map, we have the red Protoss player, Mouse Mana. In the upper right, we have the blue ZerG player. Almost called him Terran because I was used to doing that for a while. That is Liquid TLO. And I am pretty stoked to see how this final game plays out because neither player has really been able to glean all that much from the other. Game 1, TLO just essentially had a build order win against Mana. Game 2, Mana did not mind game his opponent, but did sort of pay attention to the builds and stuff that were going on. And still, there was some weirdness in that game, but he was able to win. But you know, that was an aggressive game. That wasn't a cheese, but it was a very aggressive. Well, I hope this works. Obviously, he had a lot of data and knowledge to be able to base that off of, but it was still a I hope this works kind of situation. So I'm interested to see whether TLO opts for the Ling Muta play again, because again, while not being a cheese or an all-in, it's much more effective. You have a much higher probability of winning if you do that against somebody who doesn't have Blink Stalkers as opposed to somebody who does. And then on the other hand, of course, I wonder if Mana's going to go for another very aggressive, quasi-cheesy tactic, or if he decides to go for a macro game. I mean, we are on Daybreak, so I actually would not be surprised if we just saw macro games come out from both of these players. Both of them are very comfortable. TLO because this is a large map, so that makes ZerG very, very happy. Mana just because he simply is good at macro games against any race ever. He's very, very comfortable with it. In fact, you almost never see Mana actually do a hard, aggressive cheese just because he's so happy playing the macro game. And once again, we're going to see the Nexus first out of Mana, really illustrating he likes that economy. He likes going for the long macro games, and TLO going to see this basically immediately, which is a pretty good scout timing for him. Looks like he decided to take the third first because there was an annoying probe running around his natural, so irritating. So that does tell us, once again, TLO is going to be planning on going for that very fast 3-base style, which definitely doesn't make a lot of sense. It would be really weird to see TLO go for a fast 3-base style on Ohana and Cloud Kingdom and then not see him do it on Daybreak, because this is the map where that style was birthed. It's where it originated. This is why you see it so much, because it's such a wide, long map. There's really not anything opposing players can do to really shut you down. Sure, there are things they can try. They can try timing attacks and things like that, but there's no tried and true method of, oh, if he does this, I do this, and I just win. And there really isn't. It's just a very solid way of opening. And there is the third hatchery at the natural from TLO. So really sticking to this opening right here. Really happy with it. And Mana, once again, going for the same very basic opening, and the fact that it's just a Nexus first, then of course the wall off to keep him safe. And I am anticipating what he does next. I'm really interested. This is sort of my focal point of the game right now, is saying what type of build does Mana decide he wants to transition to. Will it be more Warp Prism? Because you can do some Warp Prism play. Once again, there's a large ledge you can drop onto. It is, of course, fairly close to the ramp here as well, so you might decide to do that Sentry drop once again. Other than that, it's not uncommon to see Protoss players gear up for big 2-base pushes off of 6, 7, maybe even 8 gateways, +1/+1, things like that, to try and really punish the ZerG player for taking a third so quickly. And then on the other opposite end of the spectrum, because you know there can be multiple opposite ends, Mana could just go for a quick third base. You could just play things completely macro oriented, which, Mana being Mana, would not surprise me at all either. So really excited to see what he decides to do. For the time being, not a lot going on. Mana just building probes and getting those upgrades that Protoss players like to have in the early game, like +1 attack and the Warp Gate research. TLO, in the meantime, finally adding on his first 2 gases after 6 minutes of gameplay. And how many drones? 30 drones on the field, and however many were built into structures, so he's feeling pretty good about that. And once again, we are going to see the first robotics facility, and then the question will be how many gateways are going to follow this robo. I mean, we're at least going to see 1 or 2, and then he might either expand or he might decide to go for more gateways to get a little bit more aggressive. He is scouting out once again with that first Zealot and Stalker, just making sure, okay, do you have a third base over here? Is there any way I can deal any damage here whatsoever? And the answer is yes to both of those questions. He may not be able to kill anything. If TLO micros well, then he shouldn't lose anything. But Mana can still bruise a few things here and there, maybe force a few extra lings out of TLO. And there we actually already have 4 more lings to join the original 4, so that's going to be a total of 8. And Mana, happy with that, is just going to back off for the time being. And, oh, he goes for an Immortal. Is that actually an Immortal first, or was there an Observer? No, that is a very, very fast Immortal coming out here from Mana. And that could say one of 2 things. And those things are very opposite, which is interesting. But one thing he could say is he wants to get very aggressive. He's setting up for a timing attack, and he's building those Immortals early and often. The other is he's going to be playing defensively and just needs a couple of those really big, beefy anti-roach units to fire from the back lines and keep this wall intact. And as we see some more gateways getting added, I am going to lean towards, yes, this is an aggressive build here from Mana. 2 gateways already out. I'm sure we'll see some more. Gateway 3, Gateway 4, Gateway 4. Come on, Mana. Make the people happy. Yeah, there's Gateway 4. And no, there will be a Gateway 5 as well. So yeah, Mana getting very aggressive here. 6 gateways, a forge, and a robotics facility, consistently pumping out Immortals. He already has 2. That's so fast. However, TLO, he's going to scout out the 2 Immortals, so he's going to know those are going to be a threat. He hasn't seen these gateways yet, but he really should at least drop a changeling onto the high ground or something like that. Instead, he's just going to go towards this area. This does give him some knowledge, though. It doesn't exactly tell him what's going on, but he saw the Protoss army was here, and then when he moved back, he saw the Protoss army wasn't there. So he knows that Mana is doing something with this force, and you can see he's actually already building spine crawlers back at home. Now, part of this is... Where are the spine crawlers? Oh, he's actually... But no... Yeah, he's building the spine crawlers in his base, which is interesting. Obviously, they can move. Anyway, the more interesting thing is he's building another Nidus network, and he has, of course, the Overseer over here, and then he has a Zergling, which cannot fly and grant vision to the ground over here. So forget about that. Oh, no, though. A lot of Overlords getting caught out of position. It's going to be 1 Overlord dead for TLO. A second one going to go down, and that will supply block him. However, he does already have a lot of roaches out over here. He's building even more spine crawlers here, so he's really going all out with this. However, this Nidus Worm will be spotted immediately as soon as it starts building. There we go. Okay, so yeah, Mana sees this, and I think the probes should just be able to kill it. Nidus Worms don't have all that much health. Yeah, and that's just going to be 1 very dead. Oh, but that was a fake Nidus Worm. That was a decoy from TLO. In fact, he has a Nidus Worm already up and running at the 3rd base, and he's going to break straight through this door. Not enough force fields here to defend against him. Not enough units in general, and Mana going to try and go for this base trade. And TLO, he's in a position, he doesn't care about this natural. He doesn't care about this 3rd. He just has a line of spine crawlers up on the high ground. He knows this is all he needs to win him the game. And I think it very well may, as he's breaking through the wall finally at the front door of Mana. More force fields going down. This is going to delay TLO for a little while. I don't think it'll take too long, though. And the robotics facility going down, which is, of course, a big important deal here for TLO. Lots of probes to be able to blow up with the roaches as well. And I think if he wanted to, he can just run up this ramp, and he's going to do that. Of course, Mal's Mana in a pretty iffy situation. Yes, he has Immortals, which are strong against spine crawlers, but they may not do the job, and he knows the spine crawler wall is up there. He knows that is going to be a very difficult thing to be able to deal with. We see another Nidus Worm going up. Oh, I think it was just over here. Yeah, another Nidus Worm going up. This one in the main base, and it does finish for TLO, so that's going to stream more lings, more roaches in, and it looks as if... More pausing, awesome. Looks as if Mal's Mana is going to try and save as many probes as he can, maybe ferry them to another location where they can rebuild. He does have a large bank right now, so that is something that would not be impossible for him to do. However, he's just in trouble. His main base is in tatters. His natural basically gone at this point. Looks like he's going to try and go for a bust up here on the top of the ramp. But TLO bringing his lings back. Well, actually, that was mostly drones. More drones than anything else. But he does bring some lings and roaches back to defend as well. And he just seems like he's at a loss. He's just moving his army around TLO's side of the map, not really accomplishing all that much anymore. He is rebuilding a Nexus in the lower right-hand corner of the map, so he's not going to lose yet, but TLO does have creep over here. So if he won, he could just like knight us right here and win if he does realize that there's a Nexus over here. He is going to scout it out with his Lings and a Roach. Now, of course, the Protoss army is here to say something about it, but I don't know if they're going to be able to face the might of TLO head-on, especially considering, keep in mind, TLO is still making money. Not great money, but still making money. And Mana, of course, not mining anything right now. He's going to have to wait until this Nexus is finished building. Uh-oh, this would be a big deal if he lost this Warp Prism. It looks like it's going to get away. The Queen not going to be able to take it down, but that would be bad. Losing the Warp Prism, which is all of his mobility and both Immortals. Now, it looks as if Mana is going to try and take down this Nidus Worm. He's really wanting to micro these Immortals as strongly as he can, and that was pretty good. So, no more Nidus Worm for TLO. Obviously, doesn't care all that much since he has one over at the third, but still, that will just add more time and energy TLO has to take to be able to finish up the two pylons in the main base. And now the Nexus materializing for Mana, allowing him to mine once again. Now, he can't build anything, or any units at least, until he deals with his supply cap. But of course, that doesn't matter because he needs to build the gateways first anyway, so it is all good. Oh, Overseer getting taken down. Caught out of position for TLO. The Changeling is going to be ruthlessly killed as well. And behind all this, TLO has actually gotten an Infestation Pit. Now, he has not yet picked up the Pathogen Glands upgrade, so these are going to be some pretty low-energy infestors. I wonder if he did it on purpose or if he just forgot with all the crazy base trading that was going on. It's entirely possible he just didn't get around to it, and he is going to start building it now regardless of which is the actual reason for him not getting it earlier. He is going to start building it now. He's retaking his natural. He's taking a base in the upper left-hand corner of the map. Things are looking pretty good for TLO right now. Mana not dead yet, just because he has that money defense composition of Immortals and not Guardians, Sentries. They have an ability called Guardian Shield, but that is not what they're named. I think they were actually called Guardians in like the early alpha of StarCraft 2. I want to say that's a fact. That's a piece of trivia that is true and correct. I might be wrong, but I want to say that's the case. And that's not that big a deal. I thought this was double Immortal, but double Zealot, not that big a deal. It is going to get away. No fungal coming out here from these infestors, but more Nidus Worms here. If he wants, he can send some drones over here. He might just be using it for increased mobility for his main army, but he could transfer some drones over if he wanted. Actually, he doesn't need to. This is not most saturated mineral line in the world. At the same time, we see the Warp Prism poking around over here. It is no units loaded up. It is able to warp into Zealot, though. It looks like there is at least one completed gateway. Yeah, there it is, and the supply cap is starting to rise here for Mana, so Mana not out of this quite yet, but his Warp Prism surely is, and that is a large blow to lose that mobility. Is really a big problem, and it does go down. Okay, I saw the infested Terran were spending so much time on the Zealot. I was worried that Warp Prism was going to be able to get away, which would just hurt me so much to see so much energy spent for nothing. But it does eventually go down. And now TLO is just going to win this game, guys. I'm trying to make it sound exciting, like maybe Mana can come back, but it's not going to happen. He's almost doubling his supply. He is doubling his supply in army and almost in worker supply right here. He has 3 bases to Mana's 1. But you gotta give it to Mana. He is a fighter. He is not giving up. And TLO, he's just sort of teching this stuff because he can at this point. He's sitting in his chair. He's like, well, I could probably kill you if I attacked now, but I just really want to kill you. I want there to be 100% chance of you dying. I want to crush your soul and your spirit. So he's building 2 evolution chambers. He's building a spire as well, because Mutalisks, of course, as we said, very strong if your opponent doesn't have Blink, and Mana's not going to get Blink anytime soon because he's on one base that's, you know, across the map from where he started. And that's not a situation where you have the time or the resources to be able to get upgrades that aren't absolutely necessary to your survival. It looks like TLO has decided now is the time to go, though. He's bringing in that Nidus, where Mana does see it, but he's not going to be able to do anything about it. He's just pulling back to as defensible a position possible. That's going to be tough, though, as, of course, there are 2 ramps up here. This one's, like, 3. I think this one's 3 force fields wide, and this one might be 4. It's a lot of force fields to completely lock yourself out over here. We have the March of the Spine Crawlers on the way right now from TLO. He is just ready to crush Mana any way he can. Now, Mana does have a Warp Prism going out, so he might be able to do some counter-attacking, but he's pretty dead. He's pretty screwed at this point. That's a lot of Infestor energy. That's a lot of Spine Crawlers, Roaches, and Lings. Even a Queen here to spread that creep. Mana's in some trouble. He does have a Colossus about to finish. Where is it? There's the robotics facilities. The Colossus is about to finish, which will really, really help. It just probably won't help enough. Oh no, the force field's kind of botched there from Mana. A lot of the Roaches getting in. A huge amount of infested Terran getting thrown up onto that high ground. Now the crux here, the Colossus is staying alive for the time being, but just look at these. Look at these Infestors. They're just killing anything. They don't even care about the main army of Mana right now. They're just killing whatever is closest for them to shoot at. Now, as I said, we did have the Warp Prism up here, so some Zealots that are warped in are going to be able to kill that Nidus Worm. They're going to be able to kill the Queen as well. The Warp Prism, unfortunately, going to go down to the Corruptors, so that is not great for Mana, but he does hold. He still is losing. He still will lose the game, but he does hold for the time being. TLO still has a lot of supply, mostly in Corruptors and Infestors at this point, but you know what, that's enough. Just some Corruptors to be able to take down the Colossus, and then, of course, Infestors to lock down and soften up these forces. Oh, but the Spine Crawlers get lifted up, they get uprooted, and Mana going to take this opportunity to push it out. He's able to clear out that Nidus Worm. Should be able to kill some or all of these Spine Crawlers as well. Force fields go down, doing absolutely nothing. The Ling's able to get around in time, and now the Corruptors flying in, going to be able to focus down that Colossus very, very easily. Enough infested Terran getting thrown down between them and the Spine Crawlers. They should be able to clean up the ground army here. Either that or force Mana insanely out of position, in which case TLO can just run up the ramp and kill him, which is exactly what's happening. Actually, TLO doesn't have very many normal, conventional army units. He just has a bunch of air units and his, not Colossi, but his Infestors. So he's still not quite able to close this game out, but with the extra Roaches and some Mutalisks arriving, he should be able to finally get this win in the bag and get an extra point in the group stages of this particular tournament and hopefully make it to the playoff brackets. Yes, there it is. There is the GG Mao's Mana. Finally realizing the fight is unwinnable for him at this point, he does gracefully bow out. And there it is, folks. That's the best of 3. TLO winning 2-1. Pretty exciting games, actually. I mean, not the longest or like most insane games, but very good nonetheless. Very exciting. We saw a wide variety of strategies. We saw Mass Mutiling. We saw the Sentry drop onto the main base. And then we saw crazy Nidus Worm tactics, which were pretty cool to say. Anyway, thank you guys for watching very much. If you want to get more Darnock, make sure you follow me on twitch.tv. That is twitch.tv/DarnockRiss. There will be a link in the description box below. I stream about once a week. I'm going to start streaming a lot more, though, and every time I stream, I will be giving 1 or 2 games away for free. Usually games on Steam, but sometimes non-Steam games as well. Always digital, though. Always digitally distributed. So make sure you tune in, make sure you follow me on Twitter and Twitch and all that good business to get alerts as to when I'm streaming, and maybe you can win some sweet games. Other than that, that's it for me, folks. Thank you for watching. I've been Darnock, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.